How's it? Hi on YouTube. It's Peter here, your ginger jolly geek. I'm joined as ever by my good friend Ben, the attention-seeking geek. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. Yeah, it's Sunday, so this is a nice distraction from the Sunday blues. And I'm looking forward to kind of trying to understand what I've read with you. It's more of an intervention than anything today.
Absolutely. So I've been doing this show for a few weeks now, and I kind of drifted away from regular comic books for a while, and then I came back, and now I'm thinking I shouldn't need to drift away again because some of it is utter shit. I mean, it's hard. It is hard work. Some of the books I've been reading this week.
I think that's what I found when I used to do like Killer Comics, is that it's so, you know, it's one good book to 10 bad books sometimes, and you know that can become hard work very quickly.
I've quickly realized, and I don't know if you've read any of them, but I've quickly realized that I need to stop thinking I've got to read complete arcs. So, for example, DC's Night Terrors, 3 weeks worth of shit books, and I'm still reading them. I just need to stop now. Do you know what I mean? Stop putting myself through it, and just don't.
Well, isn't the premise of that essentially just that everyone's having a bad dream? So
yeah,
probably not that important because they'll all just wake up, wouldn't they, and be fine.
Absolutely,
that's the end of the story.
That's it. All done, and just. Oh, Harry, what was
oh, Jesus. Yeah, okay, good.
So we'll get to that. Before we start, Ben, just to quickly rattle through some of the stuff that's happened on my channel and some of the stuff that's coming up and has been on your channel. So first of all, we are here to talk about comic books. There's a whole array of stuff to cover tonight. Some good, some bad. Some I need you to explain to us, Ben, because I don't understand what happened in Hellfire Gala. I really don't. So I'm hoping you can make it make sense for us. But we'll catch up with that near the end of the episode. So just to mention, last night we did our Saturday Night Live show. That was great fun. We talked a little bit about aliens. We talked about collecting habits and all kinds of stuff. So please do go and check that one out. It was an interesting show. We've got this week's comics today. Tomorrow night, we're doing our DC picks. So this is myself, Ben, Efren, and James T. Keegan have each selected 3 favorite scenes from DC movies and 1 worst scene. Ben, you've sent your selections. I've got everybody's now. You guys all don't know what everybody else has picked, obviously. There's some interesting omissions. So there's some big movies that aren't featuring at all. So it's going to be really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
And the worst scenes, the worst scenes are entertaining. So looking for. Did you find that an easy process picking the good scenes from the DC movies?
I found it hard, not for the reasons I thought it would be hard. I thought it would be hard because, you know, most of the DC films are not of my taste. But I actually found myself really struggling to narrow it down. So there's still so much good stuff there and things to celebrate. So I am looking forward to getting into it with you boys.
Yeah, and there's some interesting choices, so looking forward to that. On Wednesday, I've got This Is My with Shane from 1/6 Figure Focus. I'm potentially having 2 other This Is My's this week, but I'm just waiting for them to be firmed up. But yeah, so that'll be Wednesday. I've put a 1/6 scale action figure unboxing out video on Captain Carter, and I've just put this one out today, which is my Boba Fett. You've got that figure, Ben. It's a stunner, isn't it? It's a nice figure.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah. Oh, one of the best.
Yeah, very, very cool. So please do go and check that out. Ben, what are these?
So I posted this video yesterday, just documenting my kind of family trip over to Manchester Comic Con on Saturday. So just some of the cosplayers there and a glimpse at some of the stalls and stuff like that. So something a little bit different. And then we went live last week, just running down all the sort of 1/6 scale news, which I think Peter and myself are going to kind of alternate every other couple of weeks. You know, it'll be on Peter's channel, and then a couple of weeks later it'll be over on my channel, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was good fun. There was a lot to go into, and then I've been posting quite a few shorts of late, so you can check out my kind of figure showcase on the Hot Toys Chewy there you see on the left, and I haven't done this for a while, but I picked up a Marvel Legends figure, which I literally just so cheap. It was like £15 for Mojo, and I was like, you can't argue with that. So for £15, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him out and have some fun with some photography and stuff like that. So
is this a new start then, or we're going back down the Legends lane? Do you think?
we're not.
How
I
many
like.
you got now?
So I bought Toad because I went in only wanting Toad because that was kind of a figure that I've wanted for months and months, and I've not pulled the trigger mainly because of shipping being like a fiver. And I was like, so I went in and I got that, and so I'm going to keep him in card and mint condition and stuff, because he's kind of in the style of the original Toy Biz release. So it looks really nice in the packaging. And then I ended up picking up a Mojo there. I picked up a bloody Sentinel that I didn't need. But no, I'm not. I was going to get a Blob this weekend, and I was like, well, if I get Blob, then I have to get Toad out, and then I'll have to get an Avalanche and repurchase. It's just a rabbit hole that I need to focus on this lot now, unfortunately.
I know, but I've often thought we could get a lot more figures for a book, couldn't we?
Oh, I was in B&M today, and they did those Marvel Gallery Diamond Select statues, 30 quid. And, classic Iron Man, there was a Thor in there, a Captain. I was like, I could just sell all of this and just have a, £40 shelf, show-stopping little mini statue, call it a day. Yeah. What are we doing, Peter?
I know, mate. I know, but they're not as sexy. I mean, it's hard because some of them do look amazing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, your Mojo is incredible, but when you look at that and you compare it to the Chewy you've just got, there's no comparison, really, is there?
No, and like it's. I'm not a poser, really. I'm a set and forget type of guy, but at the same time, having the option to, pull out Wicket and do photos with Chewy and, repose figures if I want to and stuff, like you don't get that in statues. So
you love nothing more than to pull out your Wicket, yeah.
I want to pull out my Wicket and play with the little fairy thing to my heart's content.
Yeah. Just see who's in the chat. We've got StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got good old GP Venom. Always a pleasure, Pete. And we've got John Bromley. Thank you very much for joining, John. We've got my pal Deadman. Always a pleasure to see you. And we've got Ian. Thank you for joining. And we've got Andy. Andy's away today, so he couldn't join, but he's listening in the car. And then we've got good old Fuzzy. It's apples and oranges. There's no point trying to compare. Absolutely Fuzzy. But I do, much like Ben, I think sometimes I do look and see some of the Legends figures, and I would love nothing more than like a full X-Men line. And I think, you know what it is? I could get that for half the price of one Hot Toy, two Hot Toys, And
that's the internal dialogue, is it? Also, Fuzzy, use a better analogy, a hate fruit.
Well, I'm partial to a toffee apple.
A fruit covered in sugar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or chocolate, nice. What's he saying there? Not wrong with just having one or two figures. Doesn't need to be an entire collection. Very true, Fuzzy. Very true. Another shout out just to all of the UK live stream community we've got this week. Metropolis, Nerd Herd on a Wednesday. Excuse me. Killer Comic Show on a Thursday. Andy did a cracking rundown of my brain's just gone blank. What do you call him? Scotty Young on Thursday, just gone. So that was really cool. And we've got Grey Man on a Saturday. So do check out those live shows. But let's talk about some comics. Ben, have you read any of the Night Terror stuff this week? I'm not sure what you have or haven't read.
I've not read any of the Night Terror stuff, full stop.
I mean,
none of it.
You're missing a treat.
Am I?
It's shit. It's utter dog shit. So this is Night Terrors issue 2. I'm not going to go into the Night Terrors books. I'm just going to skip over them as quickly as I can because they hurt my brain. Now what happens in this issue? Nothing really. You hear a little bit about Insomnia in terms of why he's doing what he's doing, which is basically because he doesn't like the Justice League. It's not doing it for me at all. We've had 3 or 4 tie-ins this week. Angel Breaker, I don't know who any of the characters are in that book, never heard of them, but they're linked to the League of Shadows and things. That was naff. Titans was all right. Each of them kind of manifesting their own version of a nightmare. threw us completely for a loop because all of these series have been about characters having nightmares, and then at the end it's revealed that they're all in Titan's Tower nightmare. So the building itself nightmare makes no friggin' sense. So I don't know what that's all about. Yeah. Harley Quinn completely threw us. So like I say, this is all about characters having their own bad dreams. This kind of mixed in. Do you remember Grant Morrison did that multiversal kind of encyclopedia book thing a while ago, which was meant to explain the multiverse or something? That somehow crosses into this, and all of a sudden Harley's jumping into different versions of the DCU, which she shouldn't be able to do in a nightmare, should you? So I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, no, just not the best. This one was okay. So this is Night Terror's Action Comics. You get 2 tales in this. Supergirl in the first tale starts off quite well. It's all about kind of abandonment issues, but the story kind of petered out after that. The second story I really enjoyed, which was basically like a slumber party for the very, very many members of the Superman family, and then the cyborg Superman takes over Connor Kent. The artwork in that was spectacular. I really,
I was going to say the art looks nice there.
I mean, you're not a big Superman fan, Ben, but what I would say is cyborg Superman, when he's done properly, can be really quite creepy. I don't know if you've had anything to do with that character, if you've read any of his arcs or anything. No.
No. If there's an S involved, I'm out.
Yeah. That one was pretty good. I quite like that one. Just quickly jump to see the chat. Andy, my 3 hot toys are in good company with some Diamond Select statues and some 1/12 scale figures. It's all about how they display for me. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Andy, it's ironic that the villain is called Insomnia because these have actually helped me sleep. Yeah, it's... I know Andy's not a fan. Fuzzy, I'm still waiting on comics from 3 weeks ago. Friggin' hell.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's Shambles. I only picked up 2 new releases this week. Alice Never After, I really enjoyed though. Yeah, I've not read that Alice Never After. I think Charlie and the Killer Conch was always pushing that one, isn't he? I've not read it.
There's nothing more frustrating if you've got loyalty to, a shop that you get your weekly ones from, and then they kind of let you down, and you could, in the meantime, in those 3 weeks, have just gone to another store and picked them up. Yeah.
But I don't even understand it. Surely, I mean, the comics all come in at the same time, so it's not hard, is it, to get them shipped out? I wouldn't have thought. You probably need to be looking at a different retailer, Fuzzy, I think, because that's a bit of it's pure mince, as you would say. I quite enjoyed this one. Night Terror's Detective Comics. Again, I'm not really sure what went on in the story, but this is Jim Gordon's Nightmare. Quite nice artwork. Basically, some creatures kind of inhabit and create a Batman, which goes around killing criminals. I quite like the kind of the vision of Jim Gordon basically cracking and smashing all the way through the issue, so his fingers fall off and things like that.
That's gross.
That's after he's put his fingers in someone's mouth as well. Dirty bastard. So that one was probably the best.
So you tried it, Peter.
Yeah. Right, yeah. It was all right, but again, not a one that I would rush to go and pick up. Andy's doing a plug. Dan, I'll not pronounce that.
Dan Panasian.
That's the one. Is on this Thursday showcase on Alice Ever After. Very, very cool. Good stuff. Fuzzy's saying he's on to his 3rd retailer. He's taking a person. Yeah. Bless you, Fuzzy. Bless you. Okay. Have you read this one, Ben?
I have not. No. Why am I here?
Have you read what have you read this week, Ben? Some X-Men
the Marvel
stuff.
shit I've read.
The Marvel shit. We'll get to the Marvel shit in a bit. This is Click Click Boom. This is a book that Andy was really keen on last month.
It looks like an Andy book just by looking at this. It's
absolutely. I wasn't blown away by the first issue. The premise of this, Ben, is that the main character doesn't speak, but she takes Polaroid photos of everything and kind of communicates by showing you a Polaroid photo. I really enjoyed this issue. It had at first a very Home Alone vibe to us. So basically there was some guys trying to kill them, and she's booby trapped a house, so you can see sheets throwing people out windows and things like that there. It was a pretty good book. I enjoyed that one. Just checking the chat. Fuzzy liked the first issue. Andy's saying, "Here we go, great book." And Andy's recommending Slabs Crusader. So yeah, this is an interesting storyline. I'm interested to see where it goes. I will be picking up the 3rd issue. What does an Andy book look like? Pink, indie, dull, how rude. yeah. Dead by Daylight. We've lost Ben. Dead by Daylight.
Sorry.
This is a one for the James T. Keegans of the world, based on a computer game. I'm going to assume you've not played the computer game, Ben.
No. I'm over 30.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all right. This is based on I think it's a mobile app game where you murder people or something. The storyline's been all right so far, but nothing to write home about. Basically a serial killer storyline. Okay, let's get to some Marvel stuff. Have you read Hellcat? No. You do know this isn't the toy show, don't you? Yeah?
I'm just keeping you company, okay? just let me sit here and watch.
Hellcat, this is issue 5 of a 5-issue run. I have no idea why I started frigging reading Hellcat. Are you familiar with the character?
To be honest, only really through Jessica Jones, and that was kind of my key introduction. It was never in my younger days when you're kind of flicking through the Marvel encyclopedia and you find characters that you want to sort of look into. She was never one that stood out for me, but I really enjoyed what they did with Patsy in the series and stuff, and I know you've been really enjoying this. So
I have, and I again, much like you, I only really knew much about. I've seen her in Defenders and stuff, but never really got into the character. But I enjoyed her in the Disney Plus show. Picked this up because it looked interesting, and I've really enjoyed it. It is confusing as hell, mind. So she's died and been resurrected 5 or 6 times. I think she's married. Well, exactly, yeah. But I think she's been married to Damien Hellstrom, so she's now linked to Hell itself. At one point in this, she literally turns into a giant cat creature, haven't we all? So yeah, it's a bit confusing, but Sleepwalker's in it, and I love him. So yeah, I have enjoyed this series. It's been good fun. Dead Man saying he's still waiting for issue 1 to turn up of the Click Click Boom book. Yeah, first time I looked through it, I found it a bit confusing. Yeah. Andy's just saying that he watched your video trip to Manchester. There was a moment where your little one smiled and it melted his Scottish deep fried heart. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, because that's the deep fry everything in Scotland, don't they?
I had fried deep fried haggis when I went and played the festival.
Don't eat haggis. Played a festival? What do you mean played a festival?
When I did the Edinburgh Festival, I was one of 500 comedians that are there that weekend, playing in every pub. Yeah, some of my best and worst gigs all in one weekend. It was an emotional roller coaster for sure.
You see, now I was going a different way. When I was up at Lossiemouth, at the RAF station up there, I had a RAF Lossiemouth. I had a deep fried Mars bar, which was delicious.
Oh, that's standard practice.
Deep fried cheesecake I've had as well. That's good.
Oh yeah, back at my old college, we used to go to the fish and chip shop, and it was like a little old lady there and her son who worked, and we basically got them to call deep fried Mars bar battered poo. So we'd go in and we'd be like, "Can we have a battered poo, please?" And one battered poo coming up. And one day we went in and they didn't have Mars bars, but they had Snickers. And I'm not even kidding. The old lady went, "Nutty poo," and it's still one of the funniest things. Battered cream egg is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I've tried that.
Yeah.
Can we should we just sack this off and
sack this off and go? It's just got battered stuff. Yeah, the battered cheesecake in Florida was stunning. I've never had battered cheesecake before.
Yeah,
but you see, Fuzzy is confirming he used to live near Lossiemouth. There you go. Yeah. You've been cancelled. Have you read? I'm just going to tell you what. From now on, Ben, if you've read something, just shout out. Have you read it?
No. I mean, I've been cancelled.
Oh, look who we've got.
Twice.
We've got comic lad Simon.
Hey,
Hey, Simon, nice to see you.
even types how he.
Yeah.
Hey, hiya.
And we've got
We
James
love
T.
you, Simon.
Keegan. Hey.
Heyo.
Battered what? Battered. Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh,
stop it.
fuzzy.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
miss? The old boost bars that had like guarana. They were like green.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were cancelled, funnily enough.
Yeah. Coconut boost used to be nice as well back in
Oh
the
no, you
day.
dirty bastard.
No, you see, I wouldn't
Ruined it.
normally have coconut, but yeah. But what the fuck is going on with this show?
Very true, Fuzzy.
Jesus. Okay, right. You've Been Cancelled is a great premise for a series even. This is a book where basically in the future, if you've done anything that the public thinks is a bit dodgy, you get voted to be cancelled. And then basically, a bit like Running Man, bounty hunters come and kill you live on TV. Now,
Love it.
you love it. You know, now the main character in the last issue got cancelled himself, which was a bit of a twist. So in this one, they're kind of hunting him down. It's a great story. The artwork's a bit ropey. It's very stylized, but I've really enjoyed it, and I love the idea. I love the premise. So yeah, that's very, very cool. I enjoyed that one. Ben, it's your moment to shine. You're up. Star Wars. Come on.
I haven't read it. No, no, I have. So this is Hyperspace Stories issue 6. So this is by Dark Horse Publishing, not Marvel. So Dark Horse essentially have the license to produce more sort of kid-friendly offshoot comics for Star Wars. So they do have some of the High Republic ones, but again, it's the more kind of child-friendly High Republic comics. But this is a kind of spin-off story about Greedo working for Jabba the Hutt, basically. So on paper, like I'm immediately in, because Greedo is obviously a classic original trilogy character, as is Jabba. And you know, there's kind of, you can read your encyclopedias and stuff to get a bit of insight into kind of Greedo characters. Yeah, Peter, that's all I do.
Yeah.
And but you know, there's lots of gaps there, and this kind of filled in some gaps. And this was like so basically Greedo's really trying to kind of impress Jabba and get into Jabba's good books, and he's a young man in it, on Tatooine. And because I don't know if they confirmed it, but I swear one of the Rhodian little kids in like Anakin's little crew that are like, "Hey, Anakin," and put them on their shoulders and that in episode 1. Apparently that is Greedo. Anyway, this is like a sort of teenage Greedo, I guess. And he wants to impress Jabba, and there's this weird subplot where he kind of falls in love with like one of Jabba's singers. And then they try to like go off together, and she like double crosses him or something. For a kid's book, it was weirdly hard to follow. Anyway, it sort of ends with this, with him essentially getting Rotter the Hutt. Do you remember Rotter the Hutt, Peter? Come on now.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows Rotter the Hutt.
Good old Rotter. I love that bit where he did that thing. It was really cool. Yeah.
The Clone Wars, the original terrible film release that came out to kickstart the Clone Wars animated series. One of the key characters in that was Rotter the Hutt, which is basically Jabba's nephew, if I'm not mistaken, James. It's not his son, is it? It's his nephew, I think. Anyway, Greedo is essentially got served now as Rotter's kind of childminder, and he gets a Wookiee who's like a toy maker. It's fun. It's silly. It's Star Wars. The artwork's like really serviceable. Like it's really kind of clean, and you know, it kind of gets the characters right, which is more than what you could say for, I don't know, the Mandalorian comic series that is currently coming out. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Is that Jabba the Hutt's hand on the cover?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's not what I expected his hands to. I thought he would have like little, I don't know.
It's a different artist in the book, I think, to this cover art, because I'm not overly keen on this cover art, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Ben.
What do you think Jabba's hand was like there?
I don't know. That looks like a
fucking
glove.
crab. He's got
I thought
he's
that,
got
that looks
hands,
like
but
little.
they're obviously is like he can't move his fat ass arms, can he? So he's they're there, but he's like he doesn't need to move them. Just find the
Now
button.
James is coming in with the big questions that we're all want to know. How do huts ban? Well, they're like slugs, aren't they? They're not just like put the juices on each other or something, or just kind of
Is
gently.
that how slugs? How do slugs bang?
Bow, chicka, wow, wow. I don't know. I've never. That's a niche porn all in itself. That. Do you know what I mean? I thought
If
they
you're going to
just
make
kind
a
of.
clip of today's show, how did slugs bang?
I thought they
know in
just
the
kind
comment
of.
section.
I thought the slime just slimed each other or something.
You just slime each other. What a world! I want to live in
This
that
show
world.
so far, I mean, do you know what? I'm going to be honest. When I have Andy and Charlie on, we don't talk about fried chocolate products and slug banging. Do you know what I mean? Fuzzy's saying reverse cowgirl is what he meant. James, I did a lot of bidding last night on Hobglums and whatnot. We'll have to show you what I won. Brilliant, Simon. Thanks for that, mate.
Simon.
Good stuff, Simon.
He's picked up a Miss Marvel issue 12 from 2001 or something.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Ben. You sent us this. Now, I'm assuming you've read it. You sent us this and told us to put it to the slide. So obviously, I thought I'd give it a read. I thought Elvira, haven't read any. In fact, I don't think I've ever read an Elvira comic. I'm aware of the character, but I don't think I've even seen the movies. This was probably my read of the week.
Hell
which
yeah!
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So tell about this book.
Yeah, so this is Elvira in Monsterland, and to be quite honest, that pretty much encapsulates what is happening here. There's really not much else to it. So essentially, what's happening, I think. So it's oh God, what's he called? The original Dracula, Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, is hopping through the dimensions of movies and shows and stuff to raise an army of the best monsters he can find, I guess. And there's a kind of like a interdimensional cop force, kind of like the TVA in a way, that have kind of recruited Elvira because of her expertise to try and kind of deter people from joining his army and stuff. And essentially all it is it's Vlad will bowl up inside one of these iconic films, and Elvira will give her camp quips and try and kind of wind him up or whatever. They'll have some interaction with the character, and then they just move on. And that's kind of all it needs to be. And it's just so much fun. Like, so issue 1 was vampires. And you went everywhere from Bela Lugosi's Dracula all the way through to interview with a vampire, and you even got Count, and they all turned into Muppets. And there was a Muppet Elvira with big like felt boobies, and I enjoyed that a lot. And then the second issue was Frankenstein. So we got to meet Frankenstein's monster and Bride of Frankie and stuff like that. And then this issue here, issue 3, was all about werewolves. So everything from Teen Wolf to obviously the classic Universal Wolfman. And
this is Jack Nicholson one as well, wasn't that at some point? I think.
Yeah, there was some like it gives some deep cuts, you know, and it's just so much fun. It's just so silly and kind of like, for me, I think like it's so nice to read a comic where you're not concerned about, 25 years of continuity, or having to read characters' backstories and stuff like that. And honestly, like, the biggest thing that surprised me is how good the artwork is and how much they've recreated the likeness of people. So like, I don't know if the licensing is different in comics, but like do they have to get a license to pictures?
I knew nothing about this comic, but I'm going to go back and read the last few issues, and I'm going to buy this in trade paperback because I'm assuming it'll be a distinct series. I opened the first page just to have a flick through, just to see why you'd put it on, basically. And I think the first few pages are the American Werewolf in London. And literally, without reading a word, I got straight, that's American Werewolf in London. I recognized the artwork is that good. You know what I mean? I thought, what the shit's going on here? And then, like you say, all the way through, there's just these big name movies, and so I've got no idea how they get away with it, or if it's allowed or what. But it's a fun read, entertaining, and the banter between Elvira and the Vlad the Impaler I thoroughly enjoyed as well. I just loved it. It was really, really cool.
She's
really
just
cool.
such like a fun character. Like for me, she kind of falls into that same area of like peak Harley Quinn for me, in that kind of fun, sexually confident, you know, like kind of dangerous when they want to be, sort of like you know, characters, and almost fourth wall breaking at times and stuff like that. I really enjoy it.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie or a show or anything with. I'm aware of her because she's in pop culture, but I don't think I've ever watched anything with her in it, to be honest.
So she mainly served as a horror host. So she would introduce like B horror films,
like the Crypt Keeper kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. But there is a film. I think is it just one? I don't know. There may be more, but Cassandra Peterson. I mean, she's an icon. She's an icon to goths and gays alike, and I'm all for it.
So is that so on the variant covers? There's an image of the lady, and I didn't want to be impolite, but I thought that character had been around for a long, long time, and she looked very young. She looked stunning. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why, but I thought this character has been in pop culture for so long, she would be an older lady, if that makes sense.
She is an older lady, but she's bathing in the blood of virgins, Peter. She's Elvira.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, just quickly jumping into the chat. Dead Man is saying Elvira is brilliant. Comic Lad Simon is saying, is that T-Muth? It is, Simon. Loads of movie references in this, worth checking out. Dead Man saying, have you read the series leading up to this one? I haven't.
Yeah, I've dipped in and out. I need to fill in some of the holes because I was kind of just dipping in and out, to be honest, with the last series. But this one I wanted to commit to the whole way. So
yeah, looks very cool. I only learned she was a character this week. I always thought she was Elvira, not an actress playing a part. Okay, interesting, Fuzzy. Yeah, I know very little about it.
I thought that for a long time, though. To be fair, with Fuzzy, I didn't. You know, you didn't. I thought her name was Elvira. I didn't realize it was, you know, Cassandra. She's ginger as well, which is hilarious. Really? Yeah, not hilarious because ginger people are hilarious. It's
what do you mean by
funny how different that is to the black hair, but
well dodged. I'm gonna have to buy it now. Yeah, Fuzzy, I recommend it, mate. I really did enjoy it. Should have did one too, didn't they? Not sure.
As in like an Elvira night thing or a film, maybe.
Fuzzy saying she looks unbelievable for her age. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make. Fuzzy, I think the image on the variant cover of her was really, really
impressive. Those variants, the photo variants are ace. Like there's one coming up for issue 5 where she's like carving up pumpkins with a chainsaw. So I've got my
so is there going to be a slasher issue then, do you think, if she's going through different movie franchises?
Think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dead Man, was the previous one horror stuff? I feel like, and this is more. I feel like the previous one had horror people in, and this is more dedicated to monsters. Do you know what I mean? Like the Dracula, I can't remember. Me too, Luke. She was at HorrorCon in Sheffield a few years back, and I missed her, and I'm gutted. So if she ever comes back, that's 100% for me.
Dead Man saying yes to your question, Ben.
By the way, if anyone knows where to get issue 3 photo variant Virgin in the UK, let me know, because I can only find it for US sellers, and I really want it because that's what I'd get her to sign if she ever came over.
Yeah,
it's a great photo.
Might be worth dropping Ephraim a message, because he's been shipping stuff to in the UK, so he might be able to pick one up for you, Ben.
Ephraim's Sacri account. For us all.
But this for me kind of is an interesting book, an interesting point, because like I say, being aware of this character for crikey 20-30 years, would have never considered picking up a comic about her until you've popped it under my nose, and I think I'm hooked. I think I want to go back and see what else she's done, and if it's of the same standard as this, very much want to read more because I've really enjoyed this one. Moving on, Avengers. Did you read this one, Ben?
I skimmed it, like, because I'm just, to be quite honest, from the first issue, it's beautiful to look at. It's stunning to look at, but I have no interest in the story, and I'm struggling to follow it, to be honest.
So it's an interesting one. I kind of enjoyed it, but it's a bizarre setup. It's almost kind of each character gets a page. So basically, this is a new team that have come from this floating city thing, the Impossible City. And each character has gone to a different city. It's got a different power set, and basically, you get every page of character X goes to here and talks about what they're going to do. Next page is character B goes to the city and talks about what they're going to do. Once all the characters have done their bit, you get the Avengers say, "Oh, let's go and fight them." Then you get Avenger A goes to the city and talks for one page about what he's going to do. It's a bizarre setup. Nobody actually does anything other than kind of talk. That said, I did quite enjoy it. I will read it more. I got absolutely hyper when I saw that image of Thor back in his kind of original costume, as it were. This is the redesign. Shut your face. This is the redesign for the Immortal Thor run. That's come out, redesigned by Alex Ross. But even get a I Say They May from him, as a Thor geek, I love
what an inventive redesign. Just put him in his old fucking costume. Make the gauntlets red or whatever.
No, it's not his old costume, Ben. He hasn't got his red shorts on. And... Fuck you.
Just leave it in the 60s, all right? I didn't read issue 2, but I read issue 1, and I really remember issue 1 being like this as well, where it was like, this villain's in this city, and then the Avenger went off and fought them. This villain's in this city, and this was like exactly the same format. And obviously, you got to have build up and divide and conquer and all of that stuff. But like ultimately, you pick up an Avengers comic to see the interaction between all the characters. So by separating them, you're not getting any of that. And
so the only interaction that the Avengers had, which was they've made a big point of establishing Carol Danvers as the leader of the Avengers. The interaction was Carol Danvers said, "Shit, these guys are in the city, right? Avengers assemble, everybody go." She's immediately corrected by Black Panther, who says, "Oh, hang on a minute. Let's talk about it for 5 minutes whilst everybody dies." She goes, "Oh, you're right, T'Challa. Let's chat." They have a bit of a chat. They say, "Oh yeah, there's no new news. Right, everybody, let's go now." And then Black Panther gives her permission to say, "Right, everybody go." It was a bizarre. It kind of diminished the whole point of her being put as the leader of the Avengers for me. It was strange.
I'm going to say something really controversial.
You don't like Carol Danvers, neither do I. She's shit. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I like Carol Danvers. I'm not scared of strong women like you. I'm so over like Silver Age characters.
Right.
I want new characters. I want new stories, and I know that these were like new villains and stuff, and some of the visuals of the villains were very original, like they do with the upside down face and stuff like that. I quite enjoyed that, but I'm over Thor. Like I honestly don't feel like there's a story now that you can tell that I haven't either already heard in a different version, with it, lit in a different way. Like I've heard them all, and the same with Iron Man, T'Challa to an extent. I know it's obviously Sam Wilson Cap now. Vision, like they're all just. I'm just.
Did you say you're over Thor there? Is that what you said?
Bye, everyone.
Star Wars is shit.
I'll see my.
No, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. It's
I mean? Like, I'd love an Avenger team now, like comprised of.
But just to challenge that slightly, because I do agree. And me and Efren talk about this a lot, about the fact that these characters have been around so long, it's hard to find new storytelling for it. That said, if I use a book we're going to talk about in a second, the new Hulk story. There's a character who's been around for years and years and years and been reinvented left, right, and centre. His current book is phenomenal.
It's comfort food though. The new book.
Yeah. It's
not
monsters,
brave. It's not brave. It's not groundbreaking. It's comfort food. And if you immediately put that Hulk into an Avenger story, then it kind of becomes boring again, because it wouldn't have all the things that we're enjoying about that solo book. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm honestly an advocate for a new 52 for Marvel at the moment, and not even 52, like a new 12. Like, I honestly think if Marvel wiped the slate and said, right, these are 12 titles, Fantastic Four, X-Men, one X-Men book, one Fantastic Four book, one Avenger book, like, they would set, like, can you imagine how much they would sell and how everyone would be hanging on every issue of all 12 titles? It would seem like they're making less money because they're not making as much, but they'd make more money because everyone would be invested in everything again.
I absolutely agree that I think some of the lines have become so distilled now in terms of I mean, if you use Spider-Man, for example, or even X-Men, there's so many titles. And again, I'm going to go back to, I know you don't like the character, but Superman has recently been rebooted. But there are like 10 different Superman books now with different versions of Superman, Superman's children, clones of Superman, Cyborg Superman, Asian Superman. There's every variation, but it kind of diminishes the whole point of the character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Spider-Man's exactly the same.
Superman interesting, even with all
how fucking dare you? How dare you? Yeah, and I mean, we all know now that it is the end of days and dark times, because Luke and you are in agreement, Ben.
Oh my gosh, hell has frozen over.
Yeah,
so we agree on a lot of things, me and Luke.
Yeah. What If Dark Spider-Gwen? Have you seen that? Have you read that one?
I have. It was fine. The artwork inside felt very dated to me.
Yeah.
Felt very late 90s. Like, it really wasn't doing anything kind of interesting, I don't think, with what the story was. I thought the story was fairly interesting. I almost read it and was like, I feel like this is a thing already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't know whether that's like me creating false memories, because we've got, as you say, distilled 5 Spider-Gwen. Even Spider-Gwen has about 5 versions now. Gwenpool, Spider-Gwen. Yeah.
The only thing that, when I was reading, because I thought the art was shocking, the only thing that I thought, oh, that's quite nice to see, was she gets the costume and all the rest of it, gets Peter Parker's web spinners and all the rest of it, gets onto the roof, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, she's going to jump off and swing and blah, blah, blah. But actually, they kind of stopped her at that point and said, hang on, she's got no powers. And I thought, oh, well, thank God you haven't gone down all of a sudden she can do what Spider-Man can do. Was it interesting? It was pretty predictable, really, wasn't it? I mean, I guess what was going to happen by the end,
Yeah. I felt very, I didn't feel anything reading it.
No.
I mean,
No.
Greg Land as well nearly pulled off a superb cover here. I think they ruined it by putting the Spider-Gwen face on. If they'd had her sat with Spidey, I think that would have caught people's attention a lot more. Less is more, guys. Less is more.
Yeah. No, it looks totally out of place, doesn't it? It looks ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's not in the book.
No, absolutely. That's it. Yeah, cack. Cosmic Ghost Rider. I know you've been reading this. What do you think of this one?
Superb. Absolutely love this. This is one of my favorite books that Marvel are doing at the moment. And I think part of that is because it does fall completely separately to everything. I know that we've got like characters like Gladiator and stuff showing up in this. But like, and it's just so fun. Like, I think I'm always drawn to, your Deadpool, Harley Quinn style characters that are kind of gobshites, in the face of danger. And obviously Cosmic Ghost Rider kind of fits that mold, and this fun element of splitting up his personalities, and visually, I just think like Cosmic Ghost Rider is such a cool visual, and here they like ultimately made a Power Rangers version of that, which was just so fun to look at. I've been quite drawn to his sidekick. I think she's been pretty cool. it's hard to write sidekicks not as that like annoying teenage like go get him champ, or not too hard trying to make him edgy, you know. But she kind of like struck that perfect balance, I think, as a character. So and obviously, you know, they've potentially set that up for sort of future stuff down the line as well. But yeah, just a really fun story, and a story that I don't know, it felt like the end of the arc this after 5 issues.
I think it's a 5-issue miniseries. I don't know if it's an
Right,
ongoing.
okay.
I'm not sure. I
In
might
which
be wrong
case,
with that.
great. They stuck the landing, and it set up something that you could potentially go back to, but at the same time satisfied me as an end, you know, for the story. So
yeah, I've enjoyed it as well. It's been a good little jaunt, and an interesting end. I'm interested to see what happens with that. World Tree 33. Have you been reading this one, Ben?
Oh, not read any of World Tree, unfortunately. No, nope. Heard interesting things though.
Oh, have I frozen? Have you frozen?
I'm back in my.
You're back. Am I back? Am I back?
We're both back, as far as I know.
Okay.
We're talking to each other now,
for
right?
a second. So... Yeah. It's a parallel. Yeah. So yeah, World Tree 33 by James Tynion. I don't freaking know. It's an interesting story. There's been some good stuff in it. It's basically the story of the under internet, where there's demons or creatures living, and if you get pulled into it, you get possessed by them and commit murders and stuff. I am enjoying it.
Sounds like YouTube to me.
It is, yeah. It's just like YouTube. I am enjoying it, but I'm so bloody distracted by the weird stuff that happens in it. James Tynion seems obsessed with showing where boobs, foofs, and willies. So you get it all in this issue.
And after my own heart.
You know, if you want to see a elderly bearded gentleman's penis, it's in this book. If you want to see a young lady's foofy bits, it's in this book as well. I don't know. I'm finding it odd. I am compelled to continue reading it because I think the overall story of the creature and the internet kind of thing is very cool. I'm just not understanding why the young lady's walking around stark naked. I mean, literally stark naked all the time. It feels odd. But yeah,
do you not become numb to that though? Like, because I remember what was the if Andy's still in the chat, might remember that story with the lady who dies and watches herself, and there's like almost like a personification of death who guides her in, you know, and but she was like naked for the whole comic, and you very quickly become sort of numb to it. But I guess it's a maturity thing, isn't it? Peter's still looking at the foofs after 4 issues.
Yeah, it's just because it's in your face so much. Do you know what I mean? GP,
I wasn't reading this comic, but I am now.
Yeah. GP saying he clicked who Gabrielle's sister was. Yeah, absolutely. It was telegraphed, mate. The fact that she's not been in it until this issue, it was telegraphed. It is still intriguing us. So I am going to continue reading. Okay, Incredible Hulk number 2. So this is a continuing story of kind of the Hulk warring with Bruce Banner, and now the mother of all monsters has kind of rallied all kinds of demons and creatures. This issue is about zombies, basically. You read this one, Ben?
Yep.
What do you think of this one?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Another great issue. I think the artwork's just that perfect kind of comic book artwork where it's kind of abstract, and well, I mean, obviously this was a spin-off bit in it where it kind of diverts the style a little bit, but the rest of it has that perfect kind of balance for me of like abstract but bold and still comic-y, you know, enough to kind of capture the characters well. This like initial shot of them talking, you know, the zombie walking past or whatever, like really gave me like Hellboy vibes in terms of that balance of like horror and humor and kind of you know, sort of dark silliness to it all. And yeah, like I think the story, to be honest, like a lot of the speech bubbles I actually skipped because a lot of it was just kind of, you know, the zombie church or whatever spouting church nonsense, and you kind of didn't even need to read it. Like it was just, you know, all you needed to know is that, you know, they went to this, you know, dead Church of the Dead or whatever, and they wanted to kind of sacrifice Bruce for nefarious means. That's all you need to know, and that is enough for a Hulk story. And once again, really good. And again, I think an interesting balance with the sidekick. You know, I think I'm interested enough in her for her not to be irritating, and
she's damaged, isn't she? She's quite damaged, which I think makes her really interesting. Because of our past and things like that. I absolutely love that bit where he's waiting to turn to the Hulk, and the Hulk basically says, well, they're going to kill you first, so what do I care? Because I think he says, well, they're going to kill the girl, and he said, well, I don't care, because they'll kill you first, which I thought, I love the dynamic of them. Well, the Hulk hating Banner now. The artwork, you're right, I think is stunning. I loved the kind of the dead zombie look. And then we've got these splash pages throughout it, which were just beautiful, but kind of slapped in the middle. So came out of nowhere for us when I was flicking the pages. I'm really enjoying this series.
But it perfectly captures that nightmarish, you know, state of, you know, that dreamlike state, you know, the watercolors and stuff like that. It kind of immediately, you know, that this isn't reality. What we're witnessing on the page.
Yeah, very cool.
Hulk's
cool.
A dick in this, which I love as well.
Yeah, oh, he absolutely is. He absolutely is, and rightfully so. After what Bruce has put him through and everything, so yeah, it's very cool. Did you read?
What did I say earlier? Less is more. I really enjoy Brian Hitch's artwork.
Yeah,
I will say that, you know, it's consistently brilliant. Hickman's disappeared up his own arse, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
I don't know, if he's just.
I used to love his shit, and it's just become so self-indulgent and like. Again, I just don't know where this is going, because I think Marvel haven't marketed this well in the sense that because they haven't put a focus on this, it almost, you immediately know it's not going to be that important in terms of the wider Marvel universe. So it now just feels like an offshoot and a kind of afterthought. And as a result, I forget what the evil Reed is called.
Is it the Maker or something?
The Maker, yeah. Like immediately you kind of don't feel as threatened about his threats, because you're just like, well, they haven't marketed it, so I know nothing big's gonna happen from this. So yeah, I don't know, the whole thing just far too many fucking speech bubbles. And
I mean, it's like I say, with a lot of stuff from Hickman, it's just so clever or kind of sciencey that it just loses me halfway through. I mean, in this issue, basically we get Howard Stark going to the Maker's city, and then they're attacked by future versions of the Avengers, but there's like 8 or 9 Captain Americas, 8 or 9 Thors. They're dispatched incredibly quickly, and then I don't even understand what it was really trying to tell her. Do you know what I mean? It was,
I have no idea what happened.
Yeah. So no, I didn't.
I know. All I know is that by the end of it, he's essentially recruited this universe's version of Howard Stark, who is Iron Man in this. But we've seen that before, right? That doesn't feel original.
No,
right?
That's not original. That's not original at all. Yeah. And in terms of the marketing for this, the big marketing push was the Ultimate Universe gave you Miles Morales. Are they going to give you another one in this series? So that's kind of the hook they've been trying to get people to read it for. The promise that you might get another Miles Morales, which I think is atrocious marketing. But yeah, cack.
Well, like another Miles or another character.
No, another character.
Just fucking make a character then, don't.
Yeah.
And why do they constantly need to bring characters in from other dimensions? Can't you just have a kid? Like, one of my favorite things about the Uncanny X-Men Revolution era was that Cyclops just went and recruited new mutants. They were just
Yeah.
new kids with powers, and they were interesting. Eva Bell,
Yeah.
Gold Balls, or Egg, as he's now known. Like, they were great
Yeah.
characters at the time.
Yeah. Gold Balls. Yeah. And then we get to Wolverine.
Don't you fucking come for my Gold Balls.
I wouldn't dream of it. Then we've got Wolverine 35. This irritated us. I have enjoyed this particular arc. I have to say, it's been quite good fun. I love the banter between the Hanks. But this was marketed as the end of the Beast and the Weapon X's, and it kind of felt like, oh, this is going to be the big showdown, and actually it was a bit of a damp fart at the end of it. Beast escapes. So I don't know, I was expecting something a bit more exciting. But overall, I enjoyed the issue. I love, like I say, the different arguments and discussions between the beasts and things like that. What did you think of this one?
I'm really confused where this slots into the X-Force stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was reading this and I was just like, I don't know when this is taking place or how, and
I don't think anybody does. I don't think that's actually part of any kind of plan.
The writers do they? I hate this artwork. It's really detailed, but I don't know why it just doesn't come across as aesthetically pleasing to me. It kind of makes me a bit sick in my mouth. It's weird. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I think from that moment, from that initial thought of like, when the fuck is this? You zone out then, and your wall goes up, and you're like, well, fuck you to the comic, because it's like, I shouldn't need to struggle. Like, I should just know, spell it out to me. I'm dumb. I read
but
comics.
I think that's the problem. I'm needing most of the X titles really spelled out to us. And Hickman, or whoever it is that's writing the main ones, is trying that by slapping these friggin' full pages of text halfway through where he explains. We'll get to the Hellfire Gala one in a bit, but I can't be chewed with that shit. So as soon as you get to the page of an explanation about the word he's used in the last panel, I can't be chewed. So
love that cover with the middle claw not yet coming out. That's pretty cool, though, to be fair.
Couple of quick run-throughs. Nightclub by Mark Millar. This was a really good series and enjoyed this one. This is about basically three young people who get vampire powers and create a superhero team, basically using the vampire powers. This is the end of the arc, and some good battling in it, and it leaves it in an interesting place for the next series. So that one was quite fun. One on your radar, Ben? Have you been reading that one?
Never heard of it, to be honest. But you've had vampires, Mark Miller. I'm in.
It's good. It's a good little series. Hallows Eve is, in my mind, probably the best Spider-Man book that we've got at the moment.
Without Spider-Man
in it, yeah. So this is I can't remember the character's name, but she was basically given a bag of masks by Maddie from the X-Men universe. And each mask gives her a different power. So she tends to use things like a vampire mask, which gives her vampire powers, or a Frankenstein mask, or a werewolf mask. And this was the end of that little mini-series. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed it so much, I will be picking up whatever the character goes into next, because she's just a fun character. Again, the one that you've read, Ben, or not?
To be honest, I've been skimming over it, but gleefully, because I've kind of like, I don't know, the story, I think because I didn't really understand her origin, like I completely zoned out of that era of Spider-Man and kind of, for the foreseeable at the moment with Spider-Man, I've zoned out. But so I think because of that, I didn't feel invested in the story. But in terms of aesthetics, I've absolutely loved this book. Like, it's drawn perfectly for me. And I just love the idea that she's got like those classic, like, 1980s style kind of plastic form masks, and she puts them on, becomes the monster. I just think that's such a great concept. It's almost a shame that she's had such a convoluted origin. Like, why not just have her as a person who, I don't know, has Mephisto give her this bag or whatever. That's enough. That's fine. And she could have been a great character. It's a shame she's attached to all that nonsense.
She's attached to all the Spider-Man Ben Reilly stuff, which I'm pleased they've not really gone into in this miniseries. He appears at the end of it, and I suspect that's where I'll start to come out of the story.
And maybe that's it. And so many characters do start with shitty origins and then they become their own beast, within the Marvel universe. So maybe that will be her path.
Yeah. Next, we've got Avengers Beyond. This is nice artwork. It's kind of jumped in time from the last issue where they're fighting this guy who is the kind of the beginning of all of the Beyonders powers. So this guy existed in the universe first, then the Beyonders stole his power. He's come back to get his power, and basically they've trapped him on Earth. I quite enjoyed it. It irritated us. I loved the last issue. Irritated us in this one because it starts off with the idea that he's killed, thousands and thousands of people on Earth, and there's cities in ruins and all the rest of it. By the end of the issue, Captain America says to him, "Oh, can you make that all good again, please?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, fair enough." So he brings them all back to life and fixes the cities. And it's like, well, what was the point of anything then? Do you know what I mean?
Get that 15 minutes back.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, not the best. Not the best. Oh shit, the bed. Amazing Spider-Man 30. Have you read this one, Ben?
No. I tried. And yeah, I think trying is the word. It's just, to be honest, I'm kind of so emotionally separated from what is going on now that I'm almost waiting for the Dan Slott stuff to start again. Once Dan Slott kicks off this Superior bit, then I think I'll hop back in with the hope that that's going to rejuvenate things. But I'm just I don't really know what's going on with all the Norman Golden Goblin shit. And
I mean, this really, really disappointing. So at the end of the last issue was Otto injecting Norman with the Goblin formula, and I thought, oh, good, they're going to bring him back as a villain again. But he doesn't. The first page, he's it's all right. I don't mind that. In between books, Spider-Man's that worried about Norman's life that he stops to paint the silver octopus things into his traditional covers, and even to the point where he draws the webbing on it, which is nice because he wouldn't want to go out and rush to save someone with silver stuff on him. So it's just cack. And for some reason, the harness that he's wearing, the Doc Ock harness, makes him act like Doc Ock. So that's fun. Shit. Moving on. Ben. I'm going to let you talk about this in a second. I've got a couple of images from this.
Okay.
All I can take away from it is that this is the end of the kind of the Krakoa storyline. We'll end the book with limited mutants left alive, I think. I don't understand how some of them died, so we'll get to that. Tell us what I've read.
I don't think I can do that, I'm afraid. So, yeah, the Hellfire Gala, which is obviously a sort of yearly thing on Krakoa, essentially kind of in place to promote peace and kind of extend invitations outside of Krakoa and all of that stuff. And this issue ultimately sees that party crashed massively by the Orkis Corporation that have kind of been running in the background maybe for the last year or so with allegiances between like Nimrod and Sinister and stuff like that. That's as simple as I can possibly put it, but there are a lot of nuances to that. First things first, right? I know we all whinged about Miss Marvel coming back from the dead so quickly. It now makes perfect sense, I think, and I'm less angry about it because it does make it. Look, it's unavoidable that the comics are going to try and replicate what the MCU do, right, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So the MCU is obviously having Kamala Khan as a mutant, and the comics need to find a way to reflect that. So I loved this idea that she died. We all fucking whinged about it because then we saw, you know, comics of her coming out, and it makes sense. She came back because the X-Men can come back willy-nilly, you know, because of the 5 and the resurrection kind of protocols that are in place for mutants. So that was great for me. I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, fine. Yeah, of course. I was like, of course. And I really enjoyed seeing her as this kind of naive Kamala Khan again, and the sort of interactions with, you know, the sort of X-Men that have kind of almost got to this like godlike level, you know, and it's almost comes across in the way that they talk to her and stuff. My boy Jumbo Carnation gets a lovely little splash page here, which made me very, very happy. So I was pleased to see that. Now, I'm annoyed at this page here on the far right. So this is ultimately the results of the hashtag X-Men
the
vote.
vote.
So the results are everyone made the team, I think. Am I wrong?
No, that's how I read. But they made the team for a reason, didn't they?
To die.
Yeah, so I'll show you. I'm going to show the next panel in a second. I just wanted to briefly cut that central page. Irritated me, Ben. Not because of Jumbo, although
I was going to say, don't you dare!
No. We've not only have we just had the Kamala Khan resurrection bullshit, okay, but then now Emma Frost basically says in the bottom, don't worry about it. Your parents will probably not even know you've died because my powers, I'm going to make everybody. So not only is it just wiped clean, we're going to probably wipe everybody's minds as well. So nobody even knows she died, most likely. It's just such a massive fucking cop-out.
And also as well, they're doing this thing where, your Embiggen powers was your Inhuman powers.
Yeah.
You haven't got your mutant power. So the chances are the mutant power will be that purple shield thing. Stuff that she has.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now. Yeah.
Just before we move on, guys, just want to mention to anybody that's watching, we're not getting messages come through for some reason. So I know people are making messages in the chat, but for whatever reason,
no one's watching. Peter.
No, I've got them on me. I've got it on my phone. People are putting messages in, Ben. So I'm not sure why is the last one you can see GP Venoms.
Click to Gabriel's.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, the messages aren't coming up. I'm not sure what's going on there.
We're not ignoring you.
Although, we're not ignoring you.
You know, if you put something of contribution, then we will read it.
So we get this X team, which is some interesting characters, some interesting designs. It's got some of my favorite characters.
I want to know who fucking won the vote.
Yeah. We've got good old Sam there, Cannonball. Now, my question, Ben, unless something's changed, when Sam is blasting, he's invulnerable, right? He's clearly blasting there, yeah? And then on the next panel, he's ripped in half by Nimrod or whatever. And everybody's dead. Pretty much everybody's dead. Well, okay. And then we'll move on to Iceman. He gets melted in some way. Juggernaut's head's caved in. Is this real, or is it, because I know they can resurrect mutants now, but by the end of this issue, I'm not sure if have we lost these characters in a comic-y way, or because if they have, they've slaughtered a lot of decent characters, surely.
No, there's no way. There's no fucking way. They can't commit to killing one character, let alone like 20 who died in this book. No, it's never going to happen. Especially because I'm pretty sure Iceman has a series coming out.
Yeah, so that was my next point. So yeah, they killed Iceman. In the back of the issue, you'll not be able to read that, but when it's talking about issues coming out, it's Iceman. So that's nice.
Good spoiler warning.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He got better. But the end of this issue is basically that, I think, and correct us if I'm wrong, if I understood it, Charles has walked them all through the portals and killed thousands of mutants by accident. So we're left with kind of not large numbers of mutants anymore. So we're kind of going back to the old narrative of there being few mutants around, not thousands and thousands of them. Is that right, or have I misunderstood that?
Yeah, no. So he changed the Krakoa portals but they didn't say where. They just said that they've walked them to their doom, basically.
Yeah.
It was all a bit vague, and then my understanding is the only characters that are left are the ones that were not there. So that will be like Rogue, Cyclops, who was called off to the. Well, what did Cyclops die in this? I can't remember.
No. Well, he was being rushed to hospital. His bit was in one of the free comic book days bit where Captain Krakoa kicked the crap out of him or something.
And then Kitty obviously used a portal, which she hasn't been able to do. So she's sort of there. But like, no, I mean, like, it's not, because there was only like four or five characters left, I think. So they're all coming back. So they'll all be fine. Yeah, like, and the thing for me is that I really love the idea of Krakoa. I really love the idea of the X-Men, ascending to this kind of godlike state after years of, being treated like shit, basically. I love the idea that they can develop a drug that they essentially blackmail the world with. There's so much interesting stuff there. And it's like they've taken all of the interesting stuff and they've not divulge, the idea of the five and the resurrection protocol, really interesting, but all of the interesting stuff they put to one side, and then they've explored basically a ton of 90s tropes. Nimrod, sinister, alternative versions of Sinister. It's like you're just going in a direction that I just do not want you to go, and like as a result you get something like this, which is supposed to be the big event for X-Men, and even X-Men fans don't know what the fuck is going on because we've become so disinterested in all of the stuff. Like, I follow a couple of intense X-Men kind of Instagram pages and stuff like that. And like, even there's like memes, right? Where like, there was one where it was like, when you re-enter, the X-Men after not reading for a year, and it's like the guy turns up with a cake to a party but the room's on fire or whatever. Like, that's but I mean, it's, jokes aside, it's poor storytelling.
I mean, what I took from this, and again, I've tried to get my head back into X-Men because I love the X-Men as characters, a lot of them, that. But what I took from this is the big reset again, and they do it every few years with X-Men. They try and develop them, they try and increase mutant kind, I guess you would say, and then at some point they say, "Oh, hang on now, it's too big, it's too unwieldy. Let's chuck a legacy virus in there, or let's chuck something in to thin it back out, so we get them back down to being a minority with a few of them on the Earth. We'll put them back in the X Mansion. We'll have everybody hate them again." Because that's how I read this. The whole tablet that's been infected, this is going to be back to humanity hating the mutants. So this is the new start point, that we're hated, we're a minority, we're spread thin. There you go. Let's get ready for the next.
And Avengers
MCU
versus
movie.
X-Men 2
in
5 years.
Absolutely. Which I kind of, if I base my reading on the last 6 months of X-Men, I kind of don't mind, because it got too big, too unwieldy, and I didn't understand what was happening. My big issue with this comic, if it's to be believed, is that they seem to have culled an awful lot of good characters, which, you're right, will come back, but I don't know when down the line. It'll be the next big reboot, won't it, or whatever.
Well, yeah, for someone like me who lives off those B characters, like, I am, I want a Juggernaut solo series, and I want, Toad front and center and stuff like that. So it's like they've just killed off all of my favorite characters in one fell swoop, basically. But yeah, I mean, the idea that they've even in the X-Men books now developed a new planet, which has mutants on it. So it's like, you've got enough fucking mutants on Krakoa, but you've just developed a whole new planet with a ton of other mutants on that, like, literally nobody cares about. It's been, honestly, it's been a fantastic idea, the Krakoa thing. On paper, a fantastic idea, but just awful since it started now. Like, it's maybe there was like half of that kind of House of X sort of run I enjoyed, and then even towards the end of that it started to dip, and since that it's just been more and more, rather than focusing on who's on the island and the stuff that, because there's been a I can't remember what, the Dawn of X, I think, maybe
Dawn of X, Swords of X or something.
Yeah, with the Doug and Krakoa's relationship, and Doug's kind of fallen into the, like, all of that stuff's really interesting. I would have loved Krakoa to have been plotting to eat everyone. Because that's what Krakoa started as this big fucking so it's like, I would have loved that, like, after like a year he was like, right, everyone's primed and ready, and then the island turns in on itself, sort of thing. That's your
I mean, that's a real
storyline.
That's a really interesting point, Ben, because Doug must have survived. So I don't know what issue it was, but last week there was a book where Krakoa ate him, didn't he? So you're right. So he must be somewhere. It's too confusing for me, I have to say. It is too, and I don't understand what the hell happened with Moira. So all of a sudden she's slitting people's throats.
She's evil now.
Yeah. Okay. So head hurt. Looking forward to kind of seeing what comes next, I guess, in terms
gorgeous
of
artwork.
Little,
great little bit, like some of the visuals of obviously Jumbo splash page, yes please, but Juggernaut fighting Nimrod was great. I loved this Death of Iceman moment. Kitty strong guy fastball special was
that was very cool.
I was just like, yes. So there were some great little moments in this, but it was just surrounded by nonsense. I'm just so uninvested in the Orchis thing, and one thing as well, I hate when MODOK's a genuine threat. I want MODOK to be like a not a joke, but beatable. And I don't like it when he's actually dangerous. Do you know what I mean? No, like,
did you read the? You'll not have read it, but worth looking at, because I know you're a MODOK fan. The last week or the week before was Thor annual, the Mighty Thor annual.
Oh no, I missed that one.
Oh, what's I can't remember. I can't remember what the name
not Donny Cates on it anymore, is it?
Like, no, but the annual is basically MODOK has collected bits of the Rainbow Bridge, and he's now like an Asgardian level threat. And Thor, it is entertaining. It's worth reading. Okay, ladies and gents, I just want to apologise because I've got my phone out here and I can see we've got 15 people watching, and there has been some comments and things. Phil's joined the chat. Fuzzy saying the stream has been recorded. I've no idea why our chat's not updating on the live and why it's saying we've only got 10 viewers. So apologise that we've not been able to say hello and to interact with you. But that's this week's comics. Monday night, please join myself, Ben, Efren and James T. Keegan as we look at our favourite scenes and worst scenes in the DC universe. Some really interesting picks there. And some movies that I'd forgotten all about. So looking forward to that. That's your whack. Ben, can I just thank you for joining us tonight? It's been great fun. Nice to talk to a fellow geek about comic books. Anything else coming up on your channel and in your world you want to mention?
No, so obviously I did a little plug at the beginning of the video, but I am also hoping to finally get out this 2023 collection tour video. So I hope to get that filmed and posted up by the weekend. So stay tuned for that.
Superb. Looking forward to that. That'll be a good one, I'm sure. Okay, with that, we'll call it a night. So thank you very much to everybody for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.